Welcome to Learning with Lenders. I'm an account executive with TurnKey Lender, and I'm honored today to have Alise Joseph, who is Director of Programs at the U.S. Black Chambers. Alise, thank you so much for joining us today. It's truly an honor to have you here.
Scott, it is my pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you. The U.S. Black Chamber is an amazing organization, and again, we're truly honored to have you as a client. And I know you and I have been speaking for a number of months now. But if you don't mind walking us through your a little bit of your background as well as the Chamber's mission, I would greatly appreciate that.
Absolutely. So thank you again for having me here today. My name is Alise Joseph. I am Director of Programs at the U.S. Black Chambers. And our organization has been around for 12 years now with the goal and the mission of being able to help Black businesses succeed and to really bring economic vitality into our communities. We basically work across 5 pillars. Those pillars include advocacy, of which the work that's on Capitol Hill takes place. And so if you think about PPP lending, we were instrumental in helping the next round of PPP lending, which is ending shortly, to be able to get sole proprietors and 1099 contractors in that space. That was a lot of the advocacy that we did because they were left out in the first round. Secondly, access to capital, which we're going to talk a little bit about today, but the ability to have not just adequate, but really the amount of capital that you really need to grow and to move your business forward is really important to us. And that's a lot of the work that we do. Contracting is our next pillar, which centers around being able to work with our corporate partners, work with city, local, and state procurement agencies to be able to have access to contracts for Black businesces. Next is entrepreneurial training. We do a lot of that work, so we're always working to help prepare our businesses across whatever realm of work that they need. And so, as you know, digital became quite important in 2020 due to the pandemic. And so we spent a lot of time in that space talking about digital resources and tools that were going to help them move their businesses forward. And then finally, we have about 140 or so chambers across the country, and we do and provide leadership development training to them through both just our monthly meetings as well as through our annual conference. And so we want to make sure that our chambers are prepared and equipped to be able to serve their membership, which are other Black businesses. And so that's ultimately the work that we do, and we've been excited to do that work for a number of years now.
No, that's incredible, and it's so important to your membership. So in terms of your thinking about your digital transformation and automation, I know, like I mentioned, you and I have been speaking for quite a number of months now, but I know this is something that's been on your roadmap for quite a for a couple of years now, I believe. Mm-hmm. And if you don't mind walking us through your thoughts behind that and what made you decide to move forward.
So the digital transformation of our organization, as with most, has taken its place in steps. And I would say at least around 2016, 2017, we were working in a space of trying to figure out ways to provide specifically access to capital to Black owned businesses across the country. We were doing some things were manual. We partnered with Black banks like Liberty Bank and others to be able to provide a bigger stream of access for our companies. And then the pandemic hit. I mean, literally a month before the pandemic, I was working on a program that was going to be in person. We were doing it at one of the local historically Black colleges and universities. It was going to feature sort of a 6-week immersion course that was really going to focus on marketing, financial statement management, and then business operations, because I feel that those are the key areas for any business to really succeed, right? And particularly if you're looking for capital or contracts. And just as we were about to launch, the pandemic hit. We had 2 weeks to really transform that work into work that we were going to now do online. And so that was a huge hurdle for us. We hadn't done anything like that in the past. Zoom became our friend, as did Google Meet. And so that was one of the ways that we were able to really begin to bring the plethora of thought leadership, subject matter expertise, and digital tools and resources to those who were interested in watching and getting more information. And so as a result of that, we have to if we're going to talk to our businesses about that, we also have to walk the talk, right? And so it was important for us to really be thinking about what are ways that we can enhance what we're doing in a digital fashion. And so that was really the move to how we started to transform some of the work that we were doing across, email marketing, across customer relationship management, and ultimately across products and services that we could deliver digitally.
Well, that's amazing. Yeah, no, I appreciate that background. There's definitely a lot to take in, a lot to think about. You had mentioned PPP, before, and the access to PPP and helping your membership. Obviously, I'm sure, just like, everywhere in the world, COVID had a major impact on a lot of small businesses. If you don't mind walking us through, how that affected your membership, and, how, your lending products are going to be able to help them, and, really, the process behind that.
Mm-hmm. So, as a nonprofit, it's really important for us to stretch the amount of funding that we get across a number of different areas. I mentioned the 5 pillars that we talked about, access to capital being one of those. But we have a small team, and the need really became great, even with our chambers. Our chambers suffered as we also lost across the country 400,000 Black businesses because of the pandemic. And so some of those businesses came back, but a lot of them never will. So it was sort of incumbent upon us to really figure out how we serve our communities best, how we best serve our chambers to help them get back up to speed. They were hurt just as much as any other business would be hurt. Those resources that they used to use, for their membership, they had to let go people and go through a lot of the same pains that our businesses went through. And so we really spent time trying to figure out, how do we best do this cost effectively, efficiently, and in a way that was going to have a broad reaching impact across the nation. And so, as I mentioned, we have other partners that we work with. We work with the Association for Alliance for African American CDFIs. We work with other diverse CDFI partners. We work with our traditional banks, as well as Black banks. And so our goal was to really figure out how we provide our members and those who may not be members but are interested in the things that we promote and that we drive, to really give them the tools to be able to be successful during an extremely trying time.
Wow. Yeah, no, I agreed. And these tools and products are certainly going to help your membership tremendously. We did have a question come in from one of our one of our folks listening in. But
sure.
So the question was, has entrepreneurial training at the chamber that the chamber provides changed after the pandemic at all?
Yes. In short, yes. Because we had to really expand the amount, not only the number of classes that we were providing, but the variety of topics that were needed, because so many things were happening in the moment to small businesses, regardless of size, to Black businesses, regardless of size, that we had to really spend time sort of, looking at what's happening on the ground, figuring out what's trending in the news, and how do we provide that level of support and guidance to our businesses to help them be able to move forward. And so just a couple of really quick stories. We had a series sort of around, really around building your business up to be able to have your product on shelves. And these would be obviously for companies that were more product-based. And we ran a small little pitch competition with a larger Black firm out of LA, which was Girl Cave LA, which was a beauty supply company who had gone through their retooling, began to expand even during the midst of pandemic, bought another building, and now had shelf space. And so we conducted this pitch competition for businesses that had, beauty products that they wanted to get on the shelves. So think of this as kind of your precursor to your pitch to a Target or a Walmart. This is basically what we did. And we had a business owner of kind of the size and skill who was willing to bring on companies to be able to put them in their stores. Those are the kinds of things that we did that we hadn't necessarily done in the past. We always talked about supply chain, but this was sort of supply chain in action. A lot of the digital tools that we brought on board through partnerships with Google and Facebook and partners like Gusto and UPS and the list kind of goes on. We spent time with them curating content that we could deliver that was going to be especially important for our businesses in terms of saving them costs, in terms of making their operations, helping to streamline their operations, really getting them, into the e-commerce space. A lot of time and energy was spent there because a lot of these businesses were all storefronts. And so now you've still got to reach your customers. You got to find a way to be able to provide to them. So bringing in, shipping resources that were going to give discounts and make life a little bit easier. Bringing in folks like Square and others who could talk about, website development and e-commerce distribution was really critical. So those are the kinds of things that we did over the course of the year, and it just continues to grow. Now that, we've gotten a level of expertise in some of those spaces, we get requests and we just kind of continue to grow based on the content that people need as they find themselves, more and more in a digital space.
That's incredible. I mean, truly, what you guys do for your membership is so valuable. It just blows me away how much you offer. So, kudos. It's really, really impressive. So, switching gears a little bit and going back to lending and your relationship with TurnKey Lender. Mm-hmm. I know in terms of our solution, you're looking to use the end-to-end solution from the time of application through the time the loan gets paid off. Just, walk us through the process and how that's going to help you both from a membership standpoint as well as your back office.
Absolutely. So after looking through about 5 different providers, I settled on TurnKey for those reasons. What we found was I would be able to get sort of origination, and underwriting with certain companies, but I wouldn't get servicing, or I would get, just strictly underwriting. And so I really needed a full solution because, as I mentioned earlier, we're a small team. I can't afford to hire, a number of underwriters to do this work. So having that option of TurnKey being able to provide origination, so being able to take applications online, we had played around with that a few years ago as more of a way of being able to funnel applications to our lending partner. We weren't necessarily doing any underwriting around it, but we were able to help in that funneling and really being able to coach our businesses to be prepared. This now gave us the opportunity of being able to take applications online. So my whole manual process of here's a job form or here's, this form for you to complete and fill out, that goes away. That burden of paper goes away. Then moving it into underwriting, where we can leverage the scoring model and the system that they have in place, but also add our own tweaks to it, whether it be, against its particular product that we have, within the queue, or whether it be just testing around things like, credit score or various sort of identification and document review areas that we needed to go through. That helps simplify that process. And so being able to upload those and have people be able to do that work online was really critical. being able to have that go-to decision where I can lean on one of our member CDFIs, the Beaufort County Black Chamber of Commerce, without necessarily having to do it all myself or go to external partners was really a help. And then finally, the servicing piece. At the end of the day, we want to be able to collect. If we get out a loan, we want to collect the money. So being able to mitigate risk as part of the process, know our customer in terms of really being able to identify who they are, making sure that we get all the documentation that we need, just like any other lending institution. That peace of mind and that ability to have that happen within this processing piece was really, really critical. And so that's why we're excited about what TurnKey will do for us, in the future.
Yeah, and we're certainly excited to have you guys on board again. From a chamber perspective, you're going to be lending nationwide, and certainly, we're looking, to have a long-lasting relationship. So, I really appreciate your time today, and certainly look forward to getting you back on in the future. Alise, thank you so much.